I'm not quite sure where we got cut off, but I was just explaining that there's only two things that we have to do in the business, and one is show the products, and the other is show the business. And in my first few months, I didn't do enough of any of those things, or either of those two things, and then started to complain when my business wasn't growing. So I had to realise that I couldn't have it both ways. I couldn't have a cushy life, low work effort, and expect results. My reason for inconsistency was because I was frozen in fear, worrying about what people would think, worrying about fear of rejection, and I wasn't taking responsibility. So it was a total vicious circle. And then my final challenge was that I struggled to duplicate. I struggled to get new people started. And the reason this was the people that I was recruiting, I was too soft with them. I was running around after them like Mother Teresa. I can remember several situations. One of them, I did a 3-hour round trip to work with one person on several occasions, and each month she came away, she didn't follow through with what she said she was going to do. And I spent so much time working with the wrong people and working on the wrong things and not enough time on income-producing activity, which is either showing somebody the product or showing somebody the business. The reason that I kept going back to work with team members that weren't doing the work was because I felt they weren't doing the work because I hadn't shown them properly. And I kept thinking, if I just go back one more time, maybe they'll do it this time. Because they kept telling me they wanted £2,000 or £3,000 a month, but the trouble is they weren't doing the activity to match that. And I thought it's because I wasn't showing them correctly, which is rubbish, because I was showing them in exactly the same way that I'd been shown, and I'm managing to do 4 CCs, so why can't they? But the other reason I kept going back to work with them was because it was really cozy. It was really cozy to keep going back to these half a dozen people and see if I could get them moving just one more time, because whilst I kept going back to work with these half a dozen people, I didn't have to pick up the phone to book the next wave of business, and I didn't want to pick up the phone, so I just kept going back to these people because I felt like I was working my business. But of course I wasn't working my business because nobody was doing any work. So honestly, it was a total disaster. So how did I get over it? Well, the one thing that got me through it was the trainings. You know, you can't build a business without being at the trainings. I realized that one training after one training just had a massive light bulb moments, and it's all these light bulb moments put together that move me through. And I realized that it wasn't just about what I learned at the training. It was that if I was at the training, then my team would go to the training. If I didn't go to the training, they wouldn't. I used to go to the Success Day on my own, and they'd say, oh, I can't come this month because blah, blah, blah. And I'd say, oh, don't worry, don't worry. I tell you what, I'll make loads of notes and I'll bring them back and I'll share with you what I've learned. I mean, what a load of rubbish. I mean, how can you recreate what goes on at a Success Day? And, you know, the time that my business completely changed was when I realized I needed a team at the Success Day, that I can't keep running back sharing what I've learned. They've got to come to the Success Day themselves. And one of the reasons why I didn't push for them to come to the Success Day was because I was really worried that it was going to put them out and that they would have to expend money on petrol and Success Day tickets, and I was trying to conserve their money and trying to conserve their time. And I thought, if I really push hard at them to be at this day, I'm going to blow them out of the business. I mean, it's just, honestly, I wasn't very good, as you can hear. And it just makes me howl now, because I won't work with people now unless they come to the Success Day. So these are all the things I've had to learn. So by going to the trainings, listening to the CDs, reading all the books, I read 30 books. In my first year in this company, I read 30. So they said to me, you need to read this, I got it, I read it. They said, now read this, I got it, I read it. I was a brilliant student. I was rubbish at the business, but I was a brilliant student. And eventually I got to manager through one more book, one more CD, one more attending the trainings, you know. And one of the reasons it took me time to get to manager was because I was too accommodating and I didn't understand tough love. So I got to manager. I was really excited, and I thought, this is it, I've arrived. So I stepped back, I took my foot off the pedal, and I started to wait for the people in my team to get moving. And the trouble is, they didn't get moving because I wasn't moving. You know, we have to lead this business from the front. And if we're not leading, that means recruiting every month, attending the trainings and doing what we do, then how can we expect our team to do it? So I was sitting back waiting for the people in my team to get to manager, and I used to look at them and I used to go to trainings. I say, well, you know, if these people in my team would get to manager, I'd be a senior manager by now, and if these people in my team would get to manager, I'd be a soaring manager by now. Gosh, really, it just doesn't work like that. We have to recruit, recruit, recruit. Cream rises to the top. We don't select the managers. They self-select. So if we're recruiting enough people, then we develop managers. And the only reason we don't develop managers is if we take our foot off the pedal. So I had to stop waiting for the slow starters in my business. I had to understand I wasn't running a charity. I was running a business. And I decided to set a criteria, and my new criteria was this: I wasn't going to spend my time now with anybody that wasn't 4cc active. I wasn't going to give my time to anybody that wasn't attending the trainings, and I wasn't going to give my time to people that weren't prepared to work through the marketing plan. And that was my new criteria. And that year my business moved from 33 case credits in 8 months to 180 case credits. Can't remember now, gosh. Yeah, so that year my business moved from 33 case credits to 180, that was right, in the space of 8 months by just putting that criteria in place. Let me tell you what it was again. I wouldn't work with anybody that wasn't doing 4 case credits, attending the training, mainly the success day, and willing to work through the marketing plan. And when I made that decision, I had about 28 people in my team as a manager, and only 3 of them were working to that criteria. And I called a meeting with these 3 people. We met in a local hotel. I said, right, I'm putting a new criteria in place. Are you in or are you out? They said, I'm in. Brilliant. So the 4 of us got to work, and 4 of us moved this business from 33 case credits to 180 because they implemented that criteria, and we never, ever looked back. I teach people to show the business 6 times a week, either through a one-to-one or the QLS video or the 5-minute video, whatever that first port of call of information is. You've got to get it out to at least 6 people a week, because that creates backup. And this is a business about creating backup. And you have to understand that the only person that can turn the business around is ourselves. We can't become victims. In fact, victims just exhaust you. So don't hang around with victims in this business. Understand that if they implement the plan, it works. It's statistically driven, and if they work the stats, it will work for them. The business is built on the law of attraction. So if you're low in energy, if you're negative, if you're complaining, if you're whinging, if you're whining like I was in the first few months of my business as I got stuck at supervisor, then no wonder I wasn't attracting the people into my business. If you've got somebody in your team who's negative, low in energy, just say to them, give them homework. This is what I do. I give people homework. Rather than spending an hour on the phone trying to turn them around, because I can do that, but then the next day they're just going to feel the same. So I've spent an hour trying to turn them around. They feel fantastic at the end of that conversation, but the next day they revert back. So you've got to give them homework. And if somebody's negative, whingy, whining like I used to be, I say to them, you need to get the secret. You need to get the audio of the secret. You need to have it in your car. You need to listen to it every day. And I say to them, come back to me after 1 week of listening to The Secret. And a week later, after listening to The Secret's done all the work to turn them around, not me. I haven't wasted energy, and they're now on a high, and they're moving forward. You see, we have to be prepared to change, and not everybody's prepared to change. Next slide, thank you. So, oh yes, there we go, 33 case credits to 180, and that year my bonus went from £600 a month to £3,000. I was absolutely ecstatic. I was just blown away by that. And personally, I developed 11 supervisors. This was over 8 months, I think. 11 supervisors, 3 new assistant managers, and that was the momentum. So next slide, please. So here's a little plan that you can show people how to develop to get to supervisor. So Emma's got these slides. I won't go into it now, but it's just a volume mapping plan that we can teach people. If they put that into place, they'll do a base month and a follow-on month to get to supervisor. So next slide, please, Emma. Now, this was the thing that revolutionized my business, this slide, because one of the reasons why I didn't want to show people the business, whether it's a video, a 5-minute link, or a one-to-one, the reason that I didn't want to do this is because I thought I was trying to push a business on people that probably they wouldn't want. And I prejudged. I said, well, there's no point showing them the business because they don't need the business, blah, blah, blah. So this slide here revolutionized all of that. When I understood that showing the business in whatever shape or form we use, showing the business is our job. The outcome of showing the business is we're not in control of. So we have to let go of the outcome. If we show the business enough, we get recruits. So in the beginning, if we show the business 6 times, we'll recruit 1, and those stats will get better. So now I only have to show the business 3 times to get 1 recruit. But of the 5 that don't join you, so if you show the business 6 times and 1 joins you, of the 5 that don't join you, they will end up working with you in some shape or form. They just don't know it yet. So some of them will work with you to raise money for charity. Some of them will direct you to an event like a tabletop. Some of them might do a launch for you. Some of them might take your sample box, the pop box. Some of them might immediately become your customer, give you a referral. They might join your team later. This has happened to me a lot. My best friend Denise I went to school with, she was one of the first people in about month 3 of my business that I showed the business to. She said, no, no, no. 7 years later, she came to a success day. She joined my business. Last month, my friend Vanessa, I showed her the business 8 years ago. She said no. And this month, she just joined my team. Because she's watching me. See, the more successful you become, the people that said no to you in the beginning, they're like, whoa, what have I been doing? Like, yeah, they say to me, oh my gosh, I've just watched you for 5 years build an empire. I say, yeah, don't watch me for the next 5. Honestly, so if you want people in your network to be in your team, get successful, because now they'll join your team. And the people who are too proud, they won't join your team, but then you don't need them anyway. So understand, showing the business is not recruiting. Showing the business is raising awareness, and one of them will join you and the rest will work with you. They just don't realize it yet. So understand, when you're showing the business, these are the first 4 reasons why people join you. The number 1 reason why people will join your team is because of you. And that's why you've got to be excited. You've got to be 20% more excited than you normally are. Everything is great. Everything is brilliant. You have to wear the mask. Fake it till you make it. It's not lying. It's getting yourself out there in a way that will attract people. So if you're having a bad day, you don't share that with your team. You have to go upline to get support with that. If you're having a bad day, get the relevant CD that's going to help you turn it around. Take responsibility for turning your mood. People buy people, so the number 1 thing is they're going to buy you. The other reason people will join your team is if they know they're going to get properly trained and supported. And so you've got to reassure them that you will give them that hand-holding exercise, that you will click them into the induction program, that you will give them ongoing training and support for their own personal development plan. These are HR terms that get used in corporate life. If you say to people, we'll give you a full induction program, that's what they're used to out there in the world. If you say, we'll put together a personal development plan, that is what the corporate plan is. So use terminology that links with them, and they'll go, wow, okay, let's do that then. People will join you because they want to be a part of you and your team, and it's the energy and the excitement. The people that want to be a part of Emma and Lisa's team is the people at the Success Day who are watching you, and they're all like, oh my gosh, I wish I was in Emma and Lisa's team. Because you're creating an excitement, an energy that people want that. People want to be a part of that. So develop a business where people want to be a part of you. The other reason why people will join you is for recognition. They're starved of recognition. The more you can make them feel good about themselves, the longer they'll stay with you. The more you can boost their confidence and say to them, you can do this, and I'm here to hold your hand, they'll stay with you. Income is about number 7 on the list of reasons why people join you. So they do need income, but it's way down on the list. Next slide, please. So your job is to work this business cycle. You've got to become an expert at the business cycle, and you've got to fine-tune it, and you've got to work it like clockwork. This business cycle has created millionaires in Forever Living all over the world, and why not you and why not now? And when you understand any part of this business cycle that is breaking down, your business isn't going to grow. So if you don't build a comprehensive who do you know list, then you haven't got anybody to talk to. My first list was 35 names, and by doing the prompt exercises, the frogs, the steam, I got my list up to 77, and by doing those exercises over and over again, I got my list up to 370. And when you've got a list of 370, you've got about 6 managers in there. You just don't know who they are yet. So if you want to show somebody how to earn an extra couple of £1,000 a month, probably somebody that you care about. So make a comprehensive list, get good at showing the business, get good at linking that first initial info through to the next stage, which is the business presentation, speeding up the process, and then wait for the people to fall into your business, action, plan, and help them to work this cycle. It's just about becoming an expert at working this cycle. That's our job, is to work this cycle. Next slide, please. So this is what amazes me. I was sitting at supervisor with 4 people in my team. Only one of them was 4 case credit active, and I was complaining that I wasn't getting to manager. Every week I was going to the business presentation, and they shared the manager plan, that you need 15 to 25 people in your team to get to manager. And then I'm sitting there thinking, why am I not getting to manager? And I'm not getting to manager because I've only got 4 people in my team and only one of them's doing anything. So if you're looking at your business right now and you want to get to manager, just have a little tally. How many people in your team and how many of them are taking this seriously? How many of them would you put into your A team, and the A team are 4cc active? And if you need help with 4cc's, then just get help. And if you need help and you get help with 4cc's, make sure you implement what's being shared with you, because that's the only reason you wouldn't do it if you didn't implement it. So people sit in my business saying, I'm not getting to manager, I'm not getting to manager. And I say, okay, so how many times have you shown the business in the last 6 months? And they say 9 times. I'm like, you've shown the business 9 times in 6 months. That's why you're not a manager. Yeah. I teach people to show people the business 6 times a week, and they've shown it 6 times in 9 months. We have to show the business all the time. That's our job. Lead with the business, because the people that you show the business to, when they're not interested, they'll fall into being your customers. So just be careful of the mistakes that you're making, and don't make the same mistakes, and teach your people not to make the same mistakes. Help those who follow through with what they say they're going to do. If you keep recruiting, you will build a massive business, and you don't have to overcomplicate the system. Just follow the system. Next slide, please. So these are the 3 reasons that I've worked out why people don't follow through with what they say they're going to do. So the number 1 reason why people don't follow through is if they don't take time to get their why in place. If they're not emotionally connected to why they're doing the business, they're not hungry enough, they'll settle for the life that they've got. So you can help these people because you can help them to break down their why. The second reason why people don't follow through is because they're stuck in fear, and this was me. And we can help these people as well, because we can just direct them to the relevant training, the relevant book, the relevant CD. And if they stay with us long enough, they'll get through the fear. And then the third reason is lazy. And we don't do lazy, because you can't build a successful business with lazy. So don't hang around with the lazy people. Yeah? Single out the individuals, hand pick, cherry pick the people that you want to work with. So here is the golden nugget as a difference between unsuccessful people and successful people in Forever Living. So write this down. Successful people are people who are prepared to do what unsuccessful people won't. I'll say it to you again. This saying revolutionized my thought process. Successful people are people who will do what unsuccessful people won't. But here's the punchline. Successful people don't like doing these things either, but they'll do them anyway. So successful people are people who will do what unsuccessful people won't, even though they don't like doing them either. They'll do them anyway. That was massive light bulb moment for me, because when I saw the successful people in Forever, I thought they were loving every minute of it. Oh my gosh, we all have bad days. I still have bad days, but we have more good days than bad days. So through the bad days, we've got to push through, and we've still got to do the work through the bad days. So successful people are people who do the work despite the bad day. So I was sitting down here on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 is excited, buzzy, happy. Yeah? And I was sitting down in number 1, feeling sorry for myself because my business wasn't growing, but I wasn't doing the work. And because I was sad, nobody was even talking to me because I wasn't attracting people. So if you're sitting in your business now, anywhere between 1 and 3, low mood, PLOM stands for poor little old me, victim mentality. So that's where I sat when I got stuck at supervisor. And I went to a training, and Jane Leach said, you've got to discipline your disappointments, and you've got to discipline them quickly. And I thought, wow, I wonder what she means by quickly. And I was too scared to ask. So at the end of the training, I went up to her. She didn't have a clue who I was. And I said, can you tell me, how long does it take you to discipline a disappointment, Jane? And I was taking 3 days, remember? And she looked at me and she said 15 seconds. I nearly died. I thought, oh my gosh, I am wasting so much time down here in a disappointment. The successful people are people that can get themselves from 1 to 10 in a heartbeat. So the most I dwell now down there is 10 minutes. I haven't got it down to 15 seconds, but 10 minutes is not bad. I was spending 3 days. So how long are you spending down there in 0 to 3? That's what you've got to address, because if you address that, it will all come together. Amazing. Everything changed for me when I learned that. Next slide, please. I'm getting all excited again. I could join the business again. Here's the other thing that really revolutionized my thinking. So I used to go to business presentations as a supervisor, and I see these people join the team, and they're like manager in 4 months, and I'm like, oh, how did they do that? Because 4 months I'm still a supervisor, and I'm like, whoa, how did they do that? And I'd sit looking at them feeling useless because they're like flying to manager and flying to this and flying to that, and I was a little bit intimidated by that. And this was quite a time ago, you know. I've been in this business a while now, and I can still remember this. The pain still hurts. Anyway, I went to another training, and they showed this. I thought, oh my gosh. So on a scale of 1 to 10, knowledge-wise, if you've got to be at 10 to have the knowledge that you need to get to manager, you've got to ask yourself, where did you come in on this continuum learning scale? So some people, let's say you're a successful business person already, and you've already been in sales or marketing or retail or any commercial people business, then you might have joined forever and you're already at 6 because of your previous experience. So in terms of knowledge, you've only got to do the work from 6 to 10 to get to manager. And that's how people come into this business and they blow past these positions because they already come from a background and they've already got most of the knowledge that they need. Now, when I came into this business, heavily protected NHS, oversensitive, blaming everybody else victim role, I came in at about -3. So it took me from -3 to 1 to even get on this line. And that's why I got stuck at supervisor. So when you're looking at other people blowing past you, just work out where you are on this scale of 1 to 10 and understand that you've just got to do the work to get from 1 to 6 before you can even match that person that's already had a great background. And once you've got to 6, you've got to just do the next bit, which is 6 to 10. And the test is whether you stay long enough to work through that line. And here's the thing. I was going to a business presentation, and it was being run by a senior manager in Forever Living, had a massive background in business, came in, got to manager in 4 months. I was in awe of this couple. And I watched them, and they helped me. They were fantastic. They still help me. But in year 3 of my business, because I stayed the course, my business completely overtook them, because I was working that cycle more than them. So although they would have come into this business at about number 6 and I came in at -3, in year 3, I'd blown past them, because once we've all got to manager, we all know the same information now. So now it's who works the hardest, and that's how I overtook them. That gets me the most excited, because you can come into this business and be shy, low in confidence, and 2 years down the line, you've blown past a whole load of people. Amazing, because it's about effort. Effort reaps reward. Next slide, please. I nearly finished. So let me just summarize. Your job is to get this business and product in front of another new set of eyeballs. That's the line from Tom Barrett. I love Tom Barrett. The book that I recommend from him is Dare to Dream, Work to Win. If you haven't read that book, you really need to read it. Dare to Dream, Work to Win, Dr. Tom Barrett. That will lift the fog. If you're feeling confused in this business, that will lift the confusion. Let the fear go. My eldest brother told me I joined a cult. Oh, in the whole time I've been doing this business, my eldest brother and his wife, she's never bought a product from me. She's never acknowledged the products that I've given her for gifts for Christmases and things. My brother has never once ever, and I mean ever, asked me how my business is going. Ever. So we get to a point where in the beginning, he's trying to put me off the business to I build a successful business, and now he can't even bring himself to ask me about it. I mean, really, if I'd have listened to him, I wouldn't have built a successful business. So in year 3, I bought a brand new Mercedes paid for by Forever Living, and I landed on my brother's drive, and him and his wife came out to greet me, and my brother says to me, "Oh wow, you've had a new car." I said, "Yeah, you know that cult I joined a few years ago? They just bought it for me," and I walked into his house. This was such a fantastic feeling. So if you've got people who are telling you this won't work, just do it, show them. Because we've travelled the world. I was trying to add up, but it's over 15 different destinations paid for by Forever Living with spending money. We've taken our son all over the world with this company to destinations that we wouldn't have been able to afford. We've been able to privately educate our son because of this company. You know, my brother wasn't going to pay for the private education of our son. My brother wasn't going to pay for our next car. He wasn't going to pay for our next holiday. So why am I going to listen to my brother? Financially, I'm wealthier than my older brother now. So you can't afford to listen to these people. My sister said, after 6 months in the business, when my business wasn't growing, she said to me, "I told you it wouldn't work." She said, "To be honest, I just think you joined it as a fad." Oh my gosh, I was devastated when she said that to me. I thought, my own sister. She doesn't know me. I don't do fads. I'm either in or I'm out. I went at this business like a dog at a bone to perfect it because I wanted to make it work. I don't give up easily. Understand the 80-20 rule. Only 20% of the people that come into your business are going to build successful businesses. 20% of the people earn 80% of the money. 80% of the people in your team are going to sit earning between £300 and a couple of £1,000 a month, and it's the 20% that will earn £2,000, £5,000, £8,000, £10,000, £15,000 a month. If you just understand that, it's cream that's rising to the top, you'll spend your time with the 20%. The 80% have the same 20% opportunity, but they're just not prepared to push themselves through the boundary of the comfort zone, get over the fear like I had to. They're not prepared to do the work. And remember, successful people are people that will do what unsuccessful people won't. And it's those people that become your 20%. And you need the 20% to build a lifestyle for you and your family. That's what gives you the residual income. Know your stats. You need to know how many people you've got to speak to get the business in front of how many, and how many people you show the business to before you recruit. And if you don't know your stats, you're working blindly. So I know exactly how many people I need to speak to recruit. So if I decide to recruit 5 people this month, I know how much work I've got to do. I love the stats. Oh my gosh, the stats is what really motivates me. And I love training the stats, because when somebody says to me, and this is a set line I get in my team, "I've spoken to everybody and nobody's interested." This is the line I get all the time. Yeah, I've spoken to everybody and nobody's interested. This makes me howl, because I know they haven't, because I know the stats. The stats are, if you speak to 12 people, you recruit 1. So I say to them, "Well, you haven't recruited anybody, so you can't possibly have spoken to everybody." "Yeah, no, I have. I've spoken to everybody. Nobody's interested." I understand why they're saying that. They're either stuck in fear or they haven't got their why in place. So if I can help them with those 2 things, we move them on. I said to my upline, I don't want to talk to people that I know. I'd rather speak to people that I don't know. And I was having a planning meeting at the time in a hotel, and my upline, Philippa Symes, said to me, "Okay, we'll go and speak to that man standing at the corner of the bar." I said, "I can't go and speak to him." She said, "Why not?" I said, "I don't know him." And she laughed. She said, "Well, now we have a problem." She said, "Because you don't want to speak to people that you know, but you don't want to speak to people that you don't know. So who exactly are you going to speak to?" That one line in that planning meeting got me back to my warm list. 90% of my team in my first year was my warm list. You're going to have so much more success with your warm list. So when you get these people into your team, you need to plan with urgency. Teach them how to do not 4 case credits, but 10. And if you've got 6 people in your team doing 10, you've done a base month for manager. Speed up your recruitment by using the tools. Use the online facility, the recorded presentations, use the 5-minute video, just speed it all up. Everything has speeded up in Forever Living in the last 18 months since I've been doing my business. The pace is crazy now. We never had this pace when I first joined. It's honestly, I used to drive an hour to go and do a one-to-one. I'd never do that now. Use the tools. Teach people how to close the one-to-one and how to close the business presentation so that all their hard work is not wasted because they let somebody leave those meetings in control. You've got to be in control of those meetings. So at the end of the one-to-one, doesn't matter what they say, you say, the next step is, we need to take you through a second stage of information. And they'll say, oh yeah, well I've got to go and talk to my husband, I've got to go and do this, I've got to go and you say, yeah, go and talk to your husband, no problem. The next step is, we need to re-meet for the next presentation. And at the end of the BP, can you see why we're so excited? Yeah? So, understand that this is statistically driven, and if you're working the stats, you'll be able to volume map your business. And get your team to commit to the trainings. They have to be at the business presentation every week or every fortnight. They have to be at the success day. The success day is their day a month in the office. Their business presentation is their hour a week in the office. And if they're not at the business presentation, they're missing a big chunk of that cycle. And if they're not at the success day, I promise you, and the thing that I got called in the first year of my business was Mother Teresa. And now I get told I'm very direct. It makes me howl because I was so not direct in the beginning. But now I'm so black and white about this business. But I tell you the truth. This is the absolute truth. I've not met one person in this company that's managed to get to manager without attending the success day. Not one. Ever. Ever. So if you're sitting now in this business and you haven't been to a success day yet, or you're not committing to those dates over the next 3, 4, 6 months, you won't get to manager. So find out the dates, get them in your diary, arrange your life around those success days. So one of my team who's really pushing to get to manager, it's her son's birthday in October. She'd arranged to have his party on the 18th of October, and she's completely changed the party. She was having a joint party with 3 other children in her son's class, and she's rang the 3 other mums and said, I've made a massive mistake, I'm working that day, I can't do the party that day. So she's had to go and find another venue, and she's had to get the agreement of the other 3 mums, and she's completely changed the whole thing to be at the success day. Now that is commitment, and that's what you've got to do. She wants the big picture in Forever, and that's what you've got to do. So I just want to help you understand what this business has given us, because I'm telling you, there is nothing greater than this company. It's a family-run company turning over 2.6 billion, 1.5 billion asset base. Do you understand what that means? It means stability. It means if you put effort in, this company is going to be here to pay you. It's not ran by shareholders. Do you know what that means? I didn't know what any of this meant when I joined Forever. I was coming from a nursing background. That means we're not working to the whim of a shareholder pulling the strings. The shareholders can close a company overnight. This is run by the family, and the family care for us, and they make every decision with us in mind. It's a special company headed by a really special man. And you have to understand what you've got your hands on. You've got your hands on the golden egg, and people need you more than you need them, quite honestly. They are leading quiet lives of desperation, and you're just spreading the word. And you work with the people who get it, the people who get excited, the people who catch the vision. And together the magic will happen. You know, for us as a family, this has given us our own business. It's allowed me to work part-time flexible, about 25 hours a week around the school gates, to be there for our son. My best bonus in Forever this year was £8,200 in 1 month. I'm on track for the end of the year to hit 10,000. I'm earning far more than my husband now. You know, he told me for the first few months this wouldn't work. If I'd have listened to him, we'd have got nowhere. Can't afford to listen to these people. My husband pushes me out the door to do this business now, you can imagine. The business has allowed us to pay for help. I pay for cleaners, I pay for window cleaners, I pay for people to do all my chores because I don't want to do them anyway. You know, we're going to be mortgage free, we've got no debts. But here's the thing, these are things that you can't measure financially. This business has given me so much confidence. I can't believe the person that I am now. The other thing it's given me is parenting skills. I am a different parent to our son because of this business. I teach him to dream big. I say to him, you can have whatever you want in this life if you're prepared to put the work in. I teach him the 80-20 rule. I teach him successful people are people who'll do what unsuccessful people won't. You know, I say to him, there are those who make excuses and there are those who find a way. I've learnt all of this from Forever Living. I would have let him get away with murder, rearing him as a child, if I didn't understand all of this. I'd have been blaming everybody else for the rest of my life like I was in the NHS, and I'd have taught him to blame everybody else. I'm teaching him, he's only 13 now, I'm teaching him to take responsibility, and that's what I was never taught. I was never taught as a child growing up to take responsibility. So we've got friendships in the company, we've got cars paid for by the business, we've been taken all over the world. You know, and then when our son was struggling in mainstream education, we had the money to move him into a private school. Within 3 days of moving him into that school, we knew we'd made the right decision. And all I think is that if I can do this business, you can too. I left school with few qualifications and just fell into nursing, did that until I got blown out with the pressures of the politics and burnt out with ill health. And I just wanted to be at home with our son. And that's what I've created. So all I say to you is, this business will work for you if you're prepared to change. I've had to change, massively change, to succeed in this business. So if you're prepared to change, if you're prepared to evolve, then we'll see you at the top. Thank you very much for listening to me.